So, John, say you're in prison for 20 odd years. Which celebrity do you choose to be your best friend?
So, is this the best friend who's going to conveniently narrate my life? The best friend who's going to come in halfway through and exonerate me of my crime? Or the best friend who's going to spend the whole time trying to rape me?
Is there one answer that fits all three of those boxes?
Yes, and that man is Brian Blessed.
Oh, wow. Put a lot of images in my head all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He'd be great at least two of those things.
Yeah?
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome everybody to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where we pitch prequels, sequels and spin-offs to films that don't have any. I'm Harry, joining me as always is John.
Hello.
And today is a returning very special guest, my brother Sam.
Aw.
Hi.
Hiya.
Hi, Sam.
Hi again.
You know, your brother's been on this podcast twice now. No
Yeah.
member of my family has been on it even once.
Why not? Why haven't you invited your family on?
I have my reasons.
What's wrong with your family?
Multiple things. It wasn't a complaint, just an observation.
Okay.
Do your family listen to this podcast, John?
I really hope not. Based on the answer I gave at the top of this episode, I very much hope not.
Yeah. So this week is part 2 of our season of films based off Stephen King novels, and we're doing Shawshank Redemption, which was always going to be in this season.
Just that obscure, little-known film, unloved, unseen. We thought we'd give it some much-deserved attention.
Yes, the number one film in the IMDB top 250 list, which of course we all know is the most definitive list in the world.
Sure, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it is routinely ranked at number 1 on IMDb.
Wow.
So, yes. Just ahead of The Godfather.
I mean, it's crap, that list. I had a look through it today. Inside Out is all the way down at number 200. Or 199 or something. There's multiple Up is above that. Up's great and all, but it's not Inside Out, is it?
I feel like the IMDb list is the definitive ranking of what straight white men like. It's very like, here's all the films straight white men watch. And it's The Godfather, Shawshank Redemption,
I noticed
Lord of the Rings.
Green Book is quite high.
Green Book is doing very well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh well.
Sam, did you choose this film? Or did you...
I think I was guided to choose this film.
Okay. A gentle hand
Yes,
pushed
yeah.
you in the direction of Shawshank.
Yeah, a gentle beyond the box set hand from one of your back office team.
Great. That is how I like to refer to Harry all the time.
Back office
Just part of my back office team.
That sounds rude.
I know.
I don't like it.
I chose to be here. I'm not here under duress.
Good. That's what we like to hear.
And I'm.
That's what I told him to say.
Yeah. and the Shawshank Redemption was made out to be a good choice that I could, get behind. Am I saying this right?
Yeah.
Just about.
Just about right. Are these the lines that we rehearsed?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So you've seen the film.
I have many
Good.
times.
Good. And you like it? That's a hard question.
So I rewatched it again recently this week and remembered that actually I've seen it enough times to know what happens as it's happening.
Yes.
Almost being able to recite bits of the script. I don't know. I know it too well, I think. And I was also reminded that it's not... there are parts of it which are alright.
Oh, we're coming in hot this week.
Yeah.
There are parts of it that are all right.
Wow. Okay.
Depends on your mindset.
Yeah.
And when I was watching this film years before, my mindset was clearly different. Maybe I was in my 20s. Now I'm weathered.
So what changed?
I got into my 30s.
What? Oh, thanks. What bits? Specifically, what didn't live past the last decade? What was good in your 20s and is not so good now?
I think I enjoyed the story when I was younger. And I think I've been spoiled by Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's bits of that, definitely.
Yeah. Because, in a way, that's like a retelling of a, life in jail kind of thing. Is it prison or jail?
prison, I guess. Well, either or.
Is there a difference?
I don't know.
I think there is, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know either. Okay, great. But like I feel like that moved the conversation on a bit, and so I feel like the Shawshank Redemption is now slightly dated.
Yeah.
It is in some ways. I think it's still telling a really good story. It's just Orange Is the New Black it's told similar stories in a different way. Like say 28 Days Later, for example, as a zombie movie, is a really good film that tells a very interesting story, but it's just a standard day in the Day of the Walking Dead TV show, which does that every week.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What do you think, John?
No, I like this film, I do. I actually thought of Orange Is the New Black as well. I mean, it's an obvious comparison. But also because watching this film, I realised it's quite TV-ish in many ways. Famously, it is a film that, despite being hugely popular, actually bombed at the box office when it came out. It didn't make a lot of money at all. And it only became popular when it was rerun on cable. So for a film that is the number one most popular film on the world's number one film website, it's actually a film that very few people have seen in the cinema. More people will have experienced it on television. I certainly did. I remember seeing it on TV many times. It was always on Channel 4. Late nights, Probably watched it much earlier in life than I was supposed to, but yeah. But yeah, because it's quite long.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's also weirdly, it has quite an episodic structure. I think it would fit quite well as a mini-series. You've got there's the definite chapters. There's how Andy Dufresne went to prison chapter, and then there's how he befriended Red chapter,
stuff about the library,
and then how he sets up the library. That's one chapter. There's that little sad chapter with the older guy who gets released, and then there's the chapter where the young guy who looks like Elvis Presley comes in, and it's very there's not one. I mean, there are themes that run through the whole thing, but it's 2.5 hours long, and it definitely has. It feels quite segmented. You can very much easily see how it would be 5 or 6 half-hour episodes if it was released today. Yeah. So yeah, in that sense, it reminded me a lot of that. I think it's a nice film. I do. I think it's a very good film. I wanted to ask both of you, regardless of your own feelings on it, why do you think this film is the number one? What is it about this do you think makes people think this is the best film?
Do you think it's difficult to find bad things in it? Sam, you said that you found things that Orange Is the New Black has already done, and so you're kind of more familiar with these things. It's not doing much new things. But I imagine most of the reviews of this film came out before Orange Is the New Black did.
Of course, yes. Yeah. No, it's been number one on IMDb for 15 years. As long as IMDb's been around, I think this and The Godfather are tussled at the top. I think,
because I've asked myself this for quite a while. Why is it better than Star Wars or Avengers or things that I like?
I know. One key thing is that neither of those films or most of the other films in the world don't have Morgan Freeman's voiceover.
This is true.
That's a solid plus.
Yeah.
Okay, well then Bruce Almighty then, sure.
There's no voiceover parts to Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, but he's playing God. Come on, that's pretty good casting.
Yeah. It's comedy though.
Yeah.
You're right. Comedy doesn't do very well in these kind of lists. Yeah. But my thing is just this film doesn't really have any negative points. Yeah. Am I wrong? Can you think of any?
No, I think you're right. No, I think you're right. I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that it's anything that's going to be number one is often going to be slightly bland because it's going to be something that the mass agrees is the least offensive thing. But if you look at the other things in the top 10, they're things like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings that have enormous fan bases, very motivated fan bases, and they are franchises, or The Godfather, which is almost universally considered a true masterpiece in a way that I don't think The Shawshank Redemption necessarily is. I mean, a lot of people say it's a great film, and it is a great film, but I don't think it's spoken of in the same way that The Godfather is spoken of as being this apex of what cinema can achieve. Yeah. So yeah, I think a lot of it is just down to, like you say, there's nothing wrong with it. But there's millions of films that there's nothing wrong with. Yeah. But I just wondered if it, I'm genuinely interested, because I was kind of being a bit flippant when I said, it's the straight white man's, choice. But that is, IMDb is famously the preserve of that's kind of the what it's weighted to. Do you think this film says something about being a man that really resonates with people? Because there's no women in it. It's very much a male film. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a film about men's issues, though.
No, but I'm just.
Not majorly. It's more of a film just inmates, and it's set in one prison, and prisons are all segregated by gender.
Yeah, and I don't mean an issue, but what I mean is does this film? And I'm not saying this is correct or not. I'm just asking the question. Does this film resonate in a way that it must do? That really strikes a chord with men in some kind of way that makes them regard it so highly. Did it resonate with you guys on a particularly emotional level? Just as
Probably when I was younger,
Yeah.
which is why I watched it so many times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to go back in time in my brain to that previous version of me to be like, why did you like the film so much, Sam? He's coming up with blanks.
What about? I mean, did you even like it, Harry? You've not even given your review yet. Right?
Oh, I really enjoyed it.
Okay, and you must have seen it before, right?
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times before. Most recently, watched it a couple of weeks ago for my other podcast, Two Geeks, Two Movies.
Sure. We don't speak about that podcast here.
Oh, do we not? Oh,
No.
sorry.
No.
We speak about Beyond the Box Set on that one sometimes.
Well, that's fine, but we don't speak about this one here.
Oh,
Them's
that's a
the
shame.
rules, yeah.
Oh. Well, listeners, if you have any interest in whatever John
No.
doesn't want you to hear, you
The
know
Forbidden Podcast, yeah.
go to Two Geeks, Two Movies. You know where to go.
Who's the one that censors this podcast again?
I edit it, so that's why.
Edit, not
I'm only kidding. Two Geeks, Two Movies is great. Enjoy it.
What was I going to say?
Yeah.
I had a really good time with this, and it was only watching it recently that it made me realise that the whole bit of him escaping prison is kind of a twist at the end. Like, I remember it that's what the film was about.
Yeah.
But it's really not about that. It's very much like, oh, by the way, that was happening the whole time, and you didn't know. But now you do.
Yeah. Well, I sometimes wonder if this film is so popular because it has a great ending. Mm-hmm. Like, I really think it's a good film from start to finish. I'm not trying to shiss on the film, but I definitely think when a film ends in a way that leaves you feeling completely satisfied, it may make you think that the entire film is as good as the ending was. And I think this film has a great ending. Like, who doesn't love that ending of him like crawling through this?
It's fantastic when that happens and all the stuff that comes out about the warden and stuff, and just all his plans. Go into motion and work perfectly.
Yeah, because it does. It has this, like I said, this episodic structure of like it has all these different plot lines that it kind of builds up, and then they all get resolved so nicely at the end.
Yeah.
Like it really leaves you satisfied as a viewer.
Yeah.
Really.
So is that Stephen King more than the film? Is that the way the story's written more than the film is put together?
Possibly, but well, I mean, it's an adaptation. I've not read the original, but it's actually not a full novel. It's a short story, so it was significantly expanded upon. So I don't actually know how much of that came from the original novella or how much of it came from the script, which was adapted by the director Frank Darabont. But yeah, I do think I think the acting is certainly a factor as well. I think Morgan Freeman's performance in particular is one of the all-time greats, and I think that plays a huge part in it. I think if it was a different set of actors, it might not have the same kind of resonance, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, do you know who was originally supposed to play those roles?
No.
So the role of Andy Dufresne was turned down by multiple people. Tom Hanks turned it down.
I could see that.
Yeah, that would have worked. Probably been about the same. Maybe I think it would have been different because I think he's a different kind of actor. But it would have, if anything, he would have been more likable in many ways. He turned it down because he was doing Forrest Gump. Fair enough. He won the Oscar that year against Morgan Freeman. So right decision for him.
Yeah.
It was turned down by Tom Cruise.
Ooh.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that would have been a very different movie.
Yeah, not a fan of that option.
Yeah, and it was turned down by Kevin Costner, who turned it down because he was too busy shooting Waterworld.
Oh, he chose the.
He chose Waterworld.
This came up recently, didn't it? Didn't he turn on something else for Waterworld?
He turned down a lot of stuff for Waterworld. Waterworld was a real passion project for him. And,
Waterworld was amazing.
It is. It's our most popular episode. Weirdly, it has a very big cult following. It's such a interesting film. It's such a mess.
Kevin Costner is just such.
Yeah. I mean, any film that opens with your protagonist urinating is definitely just a tight close up on his like oily buns as he pisses into the sea, and that is the film.
I have an aspiration one day to kiss like Kevin Costner.
Okay.
To kiss Kevin Costner.
Kiss like.
Oh, I see.
So, angrily.
Yeah.
It might be. I might learn it well if I kiss him. That might be the best way to learn.
Yeah.
But also the Morgan Freeman role, moving on, was originally actually offered to Harrison Ford.
Okay. No.
Yeah, but it's different, isn't it? And I read that,
very different. It'd be an extremely different role because he's way more confident. Not that Morgan Freeman character wasn't confident, but Harrison Ford, I can't see being anything other than cocky.
Yeah, I know. Harrison Ford would have made it like funny. I think because Harrison Ford always has that like twinkle
Was this
in his
after
eye.
Star Wars?
Yes, yeah, in 1984, so it's well post Star Wars. Yeah, absolutely post Star Wars. Yeah, it could have been a very, very different film. But yeah, I think
wouldn't have been anywhere near as highly rated.
I think without Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, because is it fair to say it defined Morgan Freeman's career going forward?
Well, it's certainly it was his first film in which he did narration, And he has done, that's become like a bit of an in joke now that Morgan Freeman is the ultimate narrator, and he's definitely done other films where he narrates and stuff. He was famous before. He did drive.
Is he better than David Attenborough at narrating? I'd love to have a narrator.
They've both got similar kind of gravitas, I would say. Yeah. I think David Attenborough has nature, and Morgan Freeman has
everything else.
Reflecting on a difficult life. Yeah. But yeah, no, he was still he was nominated for the Best Actor Oscar, and it was his third nomination. So he was absolutely an established movie star. Driving Miss Daisy was like in the late 80s was a huge movie. So he was well known, but this is the role. This is the one. It's like Tom Hanks did loads of films before Forrest Gump, but Forrest Gump's always going to be the quintessential Tom Hanks role. And I think this is the quintessential Morgan Freeman role.
The first night's the toughest. No doubt about it. They march you in naked as the day you were born. Skin burning and half blind from that delousing shit they throw on you. And when they put you in that cell, when those bars slam home, that's when you know it's for real. Old life blown away in the blink of an eye. Nothing left but all the time in the world to think about it.
But what did you think of... I've lost his name now. Tim Robbins. What did you think of Tim Robbins as Andy Dufresne?
Subtle, understated.
Yeah.
I don't know. It took me ages to work out what that actor's name was.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like he's not had such a big frontline career.
He's well known, but he's not a Tom Hanks, Morgan Freeman, Tom Cruise.
He's not.
No. He's more of a character actor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What I really realised watching it this time, actually, which I'd never really picked up on before, is that he is very much... He's not the subject of the film, he's the object of the film. Mm-hmm. Like, the whole film, you're seeing his character... Even though he's, like, the lead in many ways, it's his story. But you're always seeing him through somebody else's eyes. Mostly Morgan Freeman's eyes. But also, like, the warden's eyes. And you don't really get inside his head in the same way you get inside Morgan Freeman's head. Because, obviously, the narration helps you with that stuff. He's always something of a mystery. And... I mean, that really changes the way you perceive the film, because you're not in on it with him as he's trying to escape from the prison. It's a big reveal in the last half hour. Oh, he's been tunneling the whole time.
Yeah.
And also, you don't know quite whether or not he actually has killed his wife until like 2/3 in, when Deus Ex Tommy shows up and has the backstory.
Yeah. Really convenient, that one.
Very convenient little plot device there.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did you think, Sam, about Andy Dufresne and Tim Robbins?
I think from the way that Morgan Freeman introduced the character, he fitted it really well. This kind of icy, frosty individual who's pretty reserved, and that's the kind of role that's just well expressed, I think. So, yeah. What you just said was really good, really interesting as well, to think of how the story is, how he's the lead, but he's actually... Like you don't really know what's going on.
He's always at a slight remove, yeah. And I think if it was Tom Hanks playing him, like you'd immediately be like, oh, he didn't kill his wife. He's Tom Hanks. He's lovely.
Oh, yeah, true.
Whereas I feel like
the start really does make it look like this man could have just killed somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. Tom Hanks has never been that kind of villainous.
No, exactly. I noticed that Tim Robbins doesn't blink very often. He does have he definitely has like an icy quality to like the way he performs. Like, you're not like inclined to like him. Like, obviously, as the film goes on, you do like him and you really want good things for him, and that's why when he escapes, it's very cathartic and you feel great. But again, I think that's a lot to do with the way Morgan Freeman's character Red projects, all this goodwill onto him. But yeah, I don't think he's like the most warm, heroic character that you see. So there are some theories that he is supposed to be Jesus.
Well, that's definitely visible on the posters or the...
Yeah, exactly, the posters.
Oh,
yeah, the posers. But just because he comes into the prison, he's kind of this blank slate, and he introduces, art and love and hope, basically. He bestows hope on the other prisoners. So, yeah, there's some people who've read it as a very religious kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even though the most overtly religious character is the warden, who's the villain of the film. But,
It's Mr. Hadley, he's captain of the guards. I'm Mr. Norton, the warden. You are convicted felons. That's why they've sent you to me. Rule number 1, no blasphemy. I'll not have the Lord's name taken in vain in my prison. The other rules, you'll figure out as you go along. I believe in 2 things, discipline and the Bible. Here you'll receive both. Put your trust in the Lord. Your ass belongs to me.
Okay, so another thing. What do you think of the relationship between Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins? You know, this friendship that...
I liked the way that it grew. Mm-hmm. You saw how it grew over time, because obviously it starts off where they don't know each other at all. And Morgan Freeman's just talking with his other friends, making bets about who's going to break first and stuff. And then you cut to much, much later, and Tim Robbins is there joining him doing that, taking those bets. And it's nice to kind of see that repeat of behaviour, just as a way of showing how friendships grow over time.
Yeah.
They did it well.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, and then there was the relationship was trying to get started from, I don't know, it was a couple of months in when he first came to Morgan Freeman asking to like get some things, but then there wasn't really like a strong rapport then. It wasn't until they had those beers on the roof that then it was like, yeah, he's a mate and it's going to be a strong friendship. So it kept you guessing at the start.
I love that beers on the roof scene. I found that really tense, but it paid off really, really nicely.
Yeah, it was good. But again, it brought me back to like my just wondering generally about like what is it about this film that makes people really respond to it? And I wonder if is it because it's almost like a platonic love story. Like I don't mean that to say that I think that they're sexually attracted to each other, it's a romantic, but it is a love story between two men, and the payoff at the end of the film is just them being reunited. Yeah, you know, and it's lovely, and it's and you know, I was moved by it. Like it is genuinely moving. Like it's really, really nice. Like. Yeah. And I wonder if there's not many films that show that particularly, that show like male friendship as like the subject of a film very often. Like it's a lot of the time that like films aimed at men don't really talk about that very much, because men aren't very like, to broad strokes, men aren't particularly good at expressing emotion in that way. Like, so I wonder if that's part of what this film is, because it's just one of the great films when people can be like, oh, I wish I hope I had a friend like that if I go to prison or something. I mean, like,
yeah. Or like a friend like that just in normal life.
Well, just in life, sure, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like, not just in prison, but yeah. It
makes you wonder what they went on to do after together.
Yeah. Oh, sure, yeah.
We might find out.
We may find out, yeah.
What do you think of the weird plan there was of like, okay, so Morgan Freeman or Red, when you get out, go to this weird tree at the end of a brick wall and look under a thing, and there'll be a thing there for you. But then it turns out that Andy Dufresne must have gone there after he got out of jail. It wasn't like it was already pre-planned.
Oh yeah, he had a whole master. It seemed like he had this whole master plan.
His master plan, like it's so many things that could have gone wrong in his master plan of just escaping from prison. For one thing, but many things afterwards as well. And he had this whole plan to just go and leave a letter underneath a brick.
It's a treasure hunt. It's so exciting.
Yeah, again, I think that's
and then like I will be at this very specific location on this very specific date.
Yeah,
I'll be building a boat on a beach. Yeah. You'll see me
in my lovely like open like deep V white sleeveless shirt.
Yeah, I'll be the white
homoerotically like scraping barnacles and like, oh friend. Like...
So I'll see you there. 15 years from now.
I did think that Tim Robbins needs to enunciate more when he's describing this very hard to pronounce Mexican town, which he doesn't write down. They make a point of the fact he doesn't write it down.
He doesn't, yeah.
And he's like, oh, so we're going to meet at Zevfff? And then Morgan Freeman's like, excuse me? Oh, yeah, in 15 years, if you get out of prison, just meet me at Zevfff, and we'll have a great life together. I was like, do you want to spell that to me, please?
Yeah. Well, he sent a postcard of where he crossed the border.
He did, but he didn't put the name on it.
Yeah, but he knew, it was code for Red.
Yeah, no, sure, absolutely, yeah. But
still, the mysterious Mexican town, which I don't know, I've not heard of it since.
No, yeah.
Does it exist?
I don't know if it's a real place. No. It's somewhere on just follow the beach along. Eventually, you'll find it.
That would be the foolproof way of finding it.
Yeah, just walk along the entire Gulf of Mexico, and at a certain point, Tim Robbins will be there.
Side, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, not the Gulf, dude.
Yeah,
the coast.
Yeah. Looking for the white guy who's not called Andy anymore.
You think you'll ever get out of here?
Me? Yeah. One day, when I got a long white beard and 2 or 3 marbles rolling around upstairs, they let me out.
I'll tell you where I'd go. Zihuatanejo Hill.
What?
Zihuatanejo Hill. It's in Mexico. A little place on the Pacific Ocean. You know what the Mexicans say about the Pacific?
No.
You see, it has no memory. That's where I want to live the rest of my life. A warm place with no memory.
One thing I was thinking about, things that get smuggled into this prison, like lots of stuff gets smuggled in.
Oh yeah, because Red's whole thing is he's like a fixer, and
Yeah.
he can get anything you want from the outside.
He's a guy who can
Yeah.
get you stuff.
Yes.
And so are the guards just not paying any attention to that at all? Because like some things I get you can keep subtle,
Yeah.
you know, like little pickaxe, hide it in your Bible, whatever. But a harmonica? Like, when's that going to subtly come in handy?
Well, like the prison warden sees all the posters, and he's not kind of like, where did you get them from? He's like, well, I don't approve, but whatever, you know, whatever gets you through the day. Yeah, I don't think they particularly care. It's like, you know, see no evil, hear no evil kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's also a soft, like a gentler time, because
Yeah.
the rock hammer pickaxe thing, you could still do some damage with that.
Oh yeah,
You know, it's 6 inches long.
yeah. You
With
can
a
brain someone with
weighted
that.
end. You know, it's got a sharp end. You could. It's a murder weapon, and you know, I felt that joke fell a little bit flat when Andy was like, "Once you see it, you'll know
Yeah.
that it's not a weapon," and he pulls it out, and I'm like, "It's a weapon.
That's
Yeah.
it.
It's still a
Get
weapon."
someone for the eye with that.
But maybe I don't know. Maybe we've been like dulled to violence in the modern age,
Possibly,
and,
yeah.
and so now we're like everything's a weapon.
Well, I mean, it's also probably quite easy for prisons now to just say, metal detector. Every bed sheet has to go through a metal detector. Get all the pickaxes out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because considering it's like murder as well, like everyone seems to be there because they've committed not just a crime, but like, they seem to be in there for like murder.
Yeah.
Like, it seems to be like, although Tommy doesn't, he's just in there for breaking and entering. The young guy who comes in. So maybe they're just mixing it up. I don't know. But it seems fairly minimal security because it seems like they're just constantly like hanging out in the yard. They're not like separated. Like they've got their cells, but most of the film they're just like playing catch in the yard. Like,
Yeah.
So I don't think it's supposed to be like the most rigorous of all the prisons.
No.
Yeah.
I think that the thunder and lightning part
Was a
where
bit
it's-
much.
That's pretty convenient. Yeah, like he can't control the weather, or can
Yeah.
he?
Well, like, you don't know when he finished the hole. Maybe he just, you know, waited to a storm, finished the hole waiting for a stormy night.
Well, it seemed like that was the night, because that was the night when Red thought he was going to hang himself, because it was after he'd been. It's after he gets out of solitary and he learns that Tommy's been executed.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, "Get busy living or get busy dying." The classic quote.
You don't know if that was the day after. Like
True,
the
but-
time shifts. It could have been many months.
True, but Red, Morgan Freeman's character, is kind of quite like, he says, "This is the night I was most scared for Andy," and then Andy doesn't show up the next day, and it's like, "Oh God, has he killed himself?" And then no, he's just done a runner. So it's kind of implied it's the same.
He might have just had a really good weather prediction app.
Yeah, probably.
And he got the rope out because he checked the morning before that there was a thunderstorm coming, and he was like, "Oh, thunderstorm's coming.
Yeah.
I'll look a bit moody towards Red so that he thinks the worst." But,
Yeah.
actually,
I'll
you know,
bluff him. Yeah. And then-
Yeah. So I think I reckon that he was relying on there being a really vigorous thunderstorm for that like weak point in his escape plan where he had to hammer through a cast iron pipe 3 blows as well.
Yeah.
Took three, like, was that pipe made of like clay?
I was took it that, like, we only saw 3 blows.
Okay. fair
Maybe.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah. What was he using to hit it? His
His
little pickaxe?
little pickaxe?
No, it was a rock. No,
Oh, did he get a
okay.
rock? Okay,
The
fine.
pickaxe was found in the. There was a
Oh, you know, you're right. It
found
was. So yeah,
in
it must have been just a rock. Yeah.
But it was a rock. He was holding a big rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did love his rocks. That was kind of a plot. That was,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
big on the geology.
One thing that I thought, do drains like that at the very end of them stop animals climbing in? Do they not often have bars on them?
He might
Oh,
have
yeah.
already. Oh no, you wouldn't have removed that. No.
No, that was his. Yeah, that's the risk he took. I mean, yeah.
I also wonder if that pipe would have actually erupted in sewage. when
Yeah,
it was
probably
first
not.
made.
Yeah, because it's only like a third full.
Yeah, because when he gets it, yeah.
I don't think it would have been pressurized sewage.
No. I mean, were there that many people going to the toilet in the night?
Yeah. No.
Maybe that was part of his plan. He was like, because everyone flush at once. Just
Yeah.
add a bit of pressure.
I'll surf it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, you know, I often, I don't often think about this. I sometimes think about, when are the busy times for sewage systems, and they're not going to be in the middle of a thunderstorm, in the middle of a night in a prison.
No, probably.
It's going to be in the morning once everyone's had their coffee.
Yeah.
So that will be the time when it might erupt.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I thought about that.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Well,
these
that's
are
fun to nitpick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andy crawled to freedom through 500 yards of shit-smelling foulness I can't even imagine. Or maybe I just don't want to. 500 yards. That's the length of 5 football fields. Just shy of half a mile.
Okay, should we do some drinking games?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I've got quite a few actually.
I bet you do.
So, drink for every new poster.
Oh, every new post. Oh, so there's the main three. It's Rita Hayworth, Marilyn Monroe, and Raquel Welch. But then he's got his Einstein one. He's
a few small ones. Yeah.
He's really like accessorized the fuck out of that little
He
cell.
has, yeah. Changing those posters every decade must have been right stressful for Andy.
I know, right? There's a huge giant. He must have been very confident in his blue tack game as well. Like, there's no point. It just falls down at the wrong moment. It could all go horribly wrong. But... okay. Sam, do you have one?
I didn't have too many. I had the main one I came up with was drink every time it looks like a big chunk of time has passed, but you're not sure.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it is, and sometimes you're not. Sometimes you just don't know. Yeah. I had it drink every time gay sex is used as a threat of violence.
Okay.
It does happen a lot. I mean, it's prison. I get it. It's fine. But yes, that I did notice that as something of a theme with, obviously the rapist character, Boggs, is it? I think.
What a name.
He's got a whole plot line where he's like raping Tim Robbins for like 2 years apparently. But then also the warden threatens him at the end of being like, "I'll send you down to the
sodomites."
To the sodomites, and they'll
another one I came up with was drink every time Morgan Freeman uses the same line again.
Oh, yes.
Because he knows how to acquire things from time to time. That's one of those lines.
Yeah. But there's also, I thought it was really good the way his little parole hearings that kind of punctuate the film, where the first 2 times he says the exact same thing, like almost word for word, but the delivery is really different. Like the first time he's really like trying to get out and he's like I swear to God, I'm a reformed man. And the second time he's just kind of saying the same thing, but it's really rote. And you can tell he's like lost all his hope. And then the third time, obviously, he says what he really feels. And it's like the prison was just inside my mind the whole time. And then I had to let myself free. Then I was released.
I would just be using the same material the whole time.
Because he basically tells the parole board to fuck off. And they're like, great, you go. You're free. This guy gets it.
Prison sentences work.
If you've been in prison for 50 years, then probably.
So I had drink every time Red, Morgan Freeman, says a line that implies he might have a bit of a crush on Andy.
Okay.
Again, I'm not saying this is a gay love story. I know it's not. It's very much a heterosexual, platonic friendship love story. But there are certain lines of dialogue that I did pick up on that was like, the first way he describes Tim Robbins is the tall drink of water.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll because they're betting on who's going to like break first, who's going to cry first. He's like, I'm going to take that tall drink of water over there. And then there's bits later on where, I don't know, just certain lines he's like, yeah, I guess I could say I like him. Like, I just imagine like a slightly fruitier actor, like a different actor, these lines would be so camp. But Morgan Freeman's just so straight down the line that you just kind of take it on face value.
Who do you really want to have played this
Ian
role,
McKellen. I want Ian McKellen. Like, there's lots of like descriptions of how like Tim Robbins walks, like how he talks. It's like, oh, he walked like nobody would ever touch him. It was just very like, stuff that men don't often observe out of a man. I just thought it was interesting. I could imagine a world in which this film is just about this really horny president.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen type, just like, oh, hello, Tim Robbins. I know that's not what it is. I'm not trying to like.
It would be a really entertaining film, though,
yeah,
if it was that just on the nose about it.
Yeah.
Okay, drink anytime anybody goes into solitary.
Yeah.
Bit of a theme throughout the film.
So does Red go to solitary at any point, or is it just Tim Robbins? I think it's just Tim Robbins, isn't it?
Yeah, Red's pretty good, well behaved.
Yeah.
I think Tim Robbins, doesn't the young guy go into solitary at one point?
Why does Tommy go to solitary?
Oh, I don't remember.
No, I don't think he does.
I could swear somebody else does. Whatever. Move on.
Okay, sure. But yes, he spends a lot of time in solitary.
Yeah.
Oh, Boggs goes to solitary.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Boggs goes to solitary and then he gets beaten almost to death. So
Yeah. There's a drinking game which I thought actually would not make a good drinking game.
Very please share.
It was to drink every time someone gets beaten up.
Yeah, no, that'd be a good drinking game.
That'd be an awful drinking
Yeah, I mean,
game.
it'd be a bit bleak, but it would get you through it, yeah?
Yeah.
People, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to be a bit bleak.
Yeah, or drink every time someone dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, also bleak.
Yeah. Way! The old guy hangs himself. Way! Saddest moment in the movie. Cheers. Okay, well, I've actually come up with the worst ever drinking game for this movie, which is drink every time a woman speaks.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And again,
in the shop, maybe? Even then,
the
actually.
wife has like a couple of like I don't even I think she even has lines, but she has like sex noises at the beginning, and then there might be a woman in a shop at some point, and then that's literally it. I think the woman who has the most lines in the entire film is Rita Hayworth when they're watching Gilda, the black and white film when she does the hair flip, which is like her famous yeah. Which again, I know it's like it was a different time. It was
What, 1994 was a different time.
No, 1940. Like the film's set like the 40s.
Film,
like,
yeah.
And when that film Gilda came out, it was like a section, considered the most erotic. It is genuinely like considered one of the sexiest scenes of all time when like actress like flips her hair back. But again, just Morgan Freeman like, I love the way she does her hair like that. It just added to my general feeling about Morgan Freeman in this film. Just the way I'll talk to you when she's flipped her hair.
Wait. Here she comes. This is the part I really like, just when she does that shit with her hair.
Oh, yeah, I know. I've seen it 3 times this month.
Gilda, are you decent?
Me?
God, I love it.
Drink anytime anybody smuggles something or subtly gives someone something.
Okay.
It's like, oh, here's a harmonica. Don't let anybody see.
Yeah, just don't use it for its only purpose because people will notice.
Just hold it and look at it.
Yeah.
But subtly.
I did, well, again, like we were saying before, like, because obviously Red is the getter, and like obviously these smugglers in stuff like cigarettes, and like, okay, that's pretty easy. Stick it under a blanket or maybe shove it up your bum, classic prison. But like the Rita Hayworth poster, it's like in a giant tube. I was like, how?
Yeah.
Where's that been hidden? But yeah.
Any more?
I'm out.
I think that's... Oh, drink for monologues. It's an obvious one.
Of course, yeah. And narration.
And narration, yeah. Same, yeah.
Drink anytime anybody talks about why they're in here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's a lot of people talking about that, mainly at the start. Drink anytime Red takes off or puts on his hat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, wow.
There is a lot of that. So, have fun with that.
Okay.
And finally, drink anytime anybody says the word innocent.
Oh, okay, sure. Because there's no guilty man in Shawshank.
Exactly, no.
They're all innocent. Okay.
Red said he was the only guilty.
He was the only guilty. He's the only one who admits that he did in fact kill people.
But
again,
the young guy as well was like...
Yeah, he's like, I did it,
bragging
yeah.
about it.
But he just broke it and said he didn't kill anyone. So, yeah. Again, it's interesting that like the most sympathetic character in this film is a murderer, and it's like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But, yeah. You don't know the circumstances. It never tells you. So
No.
Yeah.
No. Which is good, because that'd be a difficult thing for Morgan Freeman to fill.
Yeah, I don't think they should have made his character more villainous. Do you think it would have made much of a difference if they hadn't given Tim Robbins a convenient out? Like if they'd left it ambiguous whether or not he'd killed his wife? Because I don't think it really needed that necessarily.
No, I don't think it did.
I guess because you have to think of him as a hero.
Yeah, you have to think of him as a good guy.
Yeah.
Somebody who's just been screwed over by the system, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or else, then you're not really rooting for him.
True. But then surely...
If it's ambiguous, then I get it.
But then surely prison... I would feel like a prison movie, it should be about the hope of redemption, and like... If you can't believe that he's able to be redeemed, in many ways I think it might be more interesting or more powerful to be like, well, yeah, he did it, but now he's...
So was it technically a redemption then?
I was also going to ask that. Who is being redeemed in the Shawshank Redemption?
Morgan Freeman.
I guess. Well, I guess... Yeah, I feel like Tim Robbins, Andy Dufresne redeems the other prisoners through the power of, art and education and beer. All the things he bestows on them. Dignity. He gives them dignity and hope, and lets them feel like human beings again. So yeah.
But he doesn't get redeemed.
Well, he seems like he's more the redeemer. But he doesn't need to because he's innocent. But if he was...
But also he's trapped in there.
He is trapped, yeah.
When there's a way out for him, the warden is like, no, and wants to keep him there forever. And so, it's not his redemption, I don't think.
No. A lot of people said that was the reason the film didn't do very well, is because the title didn't immediately give you a sense of what the film was about. Also opened in the same month as Pulp Fiction and Forrest Gump, so it was literally, yeah. Apparently the director went to see a screening, a public screening, to see, because he wanted to watch an audience watching his film to get a sense of how people were responding to it, which is quite a common thing. So he went to an evening showing the week it came out, and it was empty. There's no one there. How brutal. Because it really tanked. It completely bombed, but then it got loads of Oscar nominations, and then it kind of built
so
up.
Gutting.
I know, especially considering it's like such a good film. It's not like you'd be like, oh, well, I hope maybe someone will like it. It was like such a obviously brilliant film, but just nobody saw it in the cinema originally. And then obviously over time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have felt awful.
Yeah.
So rare we actually go to a completely empty screening. It happens.
Yeah.
But like it's also much more rare that it's our film.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know the director went on to direct The Walking Dead?
Really?
Frank Darabont. He got fired after like season 2. Like he was the one who got fired like quite acrimoniously.
Oh, right. Well, that guy's had a very weird career.
Yeah, well, he directed The Green. He did lots of Stephen King. He directed The Mist, which is another Stephen King movie, and The Green Mile. So he did a lot of Stephen King stuff, and then he went on to do some work with The Walking Dead.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get some sequels, I just want to let you listeners know that we are available on patreon.com/beyondtheboxset. So if you have enjoyed any of these episodes, this one or any previous ones, then please go to patreon.com/beyondtheboxset and support us for as much or as little as you think we're worth. If you do, you get a few bonus features. You get a bonus show called Beyond the Box Set, where we review cinema releases every week. It's a good time. What's our latest episode been on?
We just released Spider-Man, I think, and we've got The Lion King coming out next week.
Yes, right.
Yes.
I mean, they'll probably be out by the time you're listening to this episode.
Yes, it will be, yes.
Yeah, so they're there.
And I'm sure we'll get Once Upon a Time in Hollywood done as soon as it comes out, but it's a bit behind in the UK, so...
Yes, it's already in... I've looked through the IMDb top list.
Is it already in the top 250?
It's already in the top 100, I think.
Well, doesn't that just prove my point? New Cat Tarantino, great. The Straight Boys assemble. Like,
Yeah.
You know that didn't happen for Mamma Mia.
Yeah. And also, if you become a Patreon, then you can have a 30-second advert slot.
Hello, Sean Connery. Slot, yeah.
On Tremaine Show, where you can talk about anything that you want. It could be your own podcast, your own business, or something else. Do you have anything you want to talk about for 30 seconds, Sam?
Or less, you know.
Or more.
Well, not more. It costs you extra after 30.
Oh, yeah, you have to pay
How
for
much
that.
extra is it going to cost me?
It's £1 a word after the first 30 seconds.
If I use 2 words extra.
Sure, yeah.
No, I have nothing that I have to say, apart from that I have nothing to say.
Okay. Well, if you live in Bristol in the United Kingdom... Is it Bristol that... No, it's Oxford. I'm sorry, Oxford. What a terrible plug. I'm so sorry. I'll start that again. If you live in Oxford in the United Kingdom and you're...
2 of my other siblings now live in Bristol.
So yeah, and there was yeah, I'm sure there were reasons for that. If you live in Oxford in the United Kingdom and you're a particular cycling enthusiast, then Broken Spoke Co-op you should definitely get in touch with. They do bicycle repairs and lots of bicycle related things, I imagine, workshops and training and things.
Yeah, you've got all of that right. That's great. You really went
I see you on social media, you know.
Yeah, you've got it. That's
excellent.
good.
Yeah. So is there a website, Broken Spoke?
Yeah, it is. If you Google Broken Spoke Oxford, you find it.
Right.
The website is the very clunky abbreviation of Broken Spoke Bike Co-op.
Great.
Impossible to really read out over the phone or podcast.
Well, there we go. There's a nice lukewarm plug for the Broken Spoke Co-op in Oxford.
Yeah, I'm actually on vacation at the you don't. Here I am not talking about work.
Fair. I'm sorry to blast.
Yeah, and then finally, the last thing you get if you become a Patreon, you get to pick an episode for us once a month. Well, one Patreon does at least.
Yes.
You can come and guest on the show if you want. You don't have to though, but you can still pick the film. We'll do it anyway. It's up to you. Great. So that's that. All available at patreon.com/beyondtheboxset.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Great.
Hi, I'm Lee, and I host Connected Hearts, a Kingdom Hearts fan community podcast. Each episode, a guest and I talk about the game series and the fantastic community surrounding it. From artists to streamers, cosplayers, and podcasters, we talk about how a dog, a duck, and a boy in silly shorts teaches us that our friends are our power. You can find the show on iTunes or grab the RSS feed from Twitter for the podcatcher of your choice, @PodcastHearts. And hey, may your heart be your guiding key.
Yeah, okay, so it's time for sequels. John, you want to go first then? And Sam, you're in the middle?
I'll be in the middle.
Sounds good.
Cool. Okay, so this week I have gone for kind of a direct sequel. I thought, fairly straightforward. I thought like the original movie kind of posits that Andy Dufresne is a innocent man falsely accused of murder. So my sequel just poses the question, what if he wasn't?
What if he wasn't innocent?
What if he was not innocent, potentially?
Okay.
So, it picks up 20 years later. Obviously, the film was released 20 years ago, so that makes sense. Maybe like closer to 25 now, but, roughly 20 years later. And through the medium of a good old-fashioned Morgan Freeman monologue, I feel like we should learn that Andy and Red are still living the good life in that unpronounceable Mexican town.
I think it's Zawataneo.
Zawataneo. They're in Zawataneo, yes. That lovely blue-screened, paradise. They've been there for 20 years. They're well-established, and they're just living together, and they have set up a successful fishing business. I'm thinking kind of like, again, Forrest Gump, like when he has his fishing with Lieutenant Dan kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. They've got a little trawler boat, and because the last thing we see of them before the credits roll in the actual film is Tim Robbins, kind of scouring his boat, and then Morgan Freeman walks up to him and they embrace. I'm like, maybe that's the start of something. Maybe they set up a fishing business, and just live. They're not mega wealthy, but they're just making a living in this beautiful Mexican paradise. So that's where they're at. Throughout that time, over those 20 years, Red, the Morgan Freeman character, has kept in touch with all of his friends at prison through the medium of, he's been writing them letters. And he's invited them all to come down and join them as and when they get released,
Right.
So essentially, they've set up a nice retirement home for ex-cons. I was thinking, a little retirement facility in Mexico,
Yeah.
Everyone just breaks their parole, goes down to this town in Mexico, and they've got this nice little community of, old-timey, just to save, characters like, the old man in the original film had that very sad narrative where he gets out and he doesn't know anyone, and, he ends up killing himself, and it's all very sad. So to prevent that happening to all the other characters, I thought, maybe Morgan Freeman set up this little commune scenario.
By breaking parole, does that mean that they're all now wanted?
Yeah, but he says, doesn't he, who's going to really look for them? An old man breaks parole isn't exactly, call a manhunt. So I think we can accept that they're not going to be hugely sought after.
True. But if loads of them are doing it all from the same prison...
This is true, but you've got to think they're all getting out. They're not all getting out at once. They're all getting out at different times. So I think it's fair. You can assume that they might slip through the cracks.
Sure.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it anyway. So. Anyway, so Red is inviting them all to come down and join them, which they're doing. Andy Dufresne, Tim Robbins' character, isn't quite as happy about that. He kind of had it in his mind that this was just going to kind of be a him and Red thing. He didn't really think of it being a whole kind of group situation, but he's kind of tolerating it anyway. However, not all of the ex-cons are quite as well behaved as Red and Andy are. Because these are violent criminals. We forget. So actually, as the community begins to grow, they start to have a lot of problems with the local kind of villages where there's lots of petty crimes happening and arguments are breaking out, and all of these crimes are getting blamed on the Americans who've kind of been slowly but surely building up, this little community within the, I presume, quite small village. It gets to such a point that Andy and Red and all of his fellow ex-cons, they are threatened with eviction. They're told to get out of town, basically. So Andy is infuriated because he's spent decades building this peaceful life in this village that he's dreamed about through his 20 years in prison. He crawled through a sea of shit to get here, and now all these new people are coming in and kind of ruining it for him.
Yeah.
So he's not very happy. And things go from bad to worse when Haywood, which is the red-headed prisoner who pretty much the only other one who had lines. Do you know what I mean?
The character from Die Hard 2.
Yes, him. Yeah. The one who, the one who at the beginning of the film, the one who gets his Brooks, the old man, tries to stab in the neck. Yeah. He obviously comes down at a certain point and gets into a drunken brawl with a local in a village bar, and that causes a lot of problems. So much so that Andy demands that he and the rest of the ex-cons get out of Dodge and leave, and just leave him and Red alone to, to live their lives. However, the other ex-cons refuse. They say, no, we're not going. You can't kick us out. It's not who made you the king of this place. And Red is kind of caught in the middle trying to keep the peace between Andy, who really wants everyone else to leave, and his friends, who he kind of invited down. So it's kind of his fault. So that happens. It creates quite a tense situation for a short period of time. And then after a few days, Haywood goes out drinking again, and then he goes missing. And some days later, his body is washed up on the beach, having been brutally beaten.
Oh, I wonder who did that.
Who could possibly have done it? Yeah. So as the
I think it was the warden.
Yeah. So I'm thinking the meat.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah. So I'm thinking the meat of this film is going to be like, because I was thinking we've done 2 Stephen King films now, neither of which have been horror films, which is what he's best known for. So I'm imagining this is kind of like once we've got the setup of all these kind of old ex-cons being offed one by a mysterious killer. And I like the idea of a classic slasher movie setup, but we're all the victims rather than being busty young women or just old men. I've never seen that in a horror film. I thought it quite interesting.
Weird.
So you'd have all the chase scenes, but they've all got like dodgy hips and like walkers, so it's not very, so
Yeah.
it's hard for them to get away.
So how's Andy Dufresne doing? Is he still got all his hips?
Yeah, well, Tim Robbins is a little bit young. Like Morgan Freeman now is, I believe, 82, and I think Tim Robbins is about 65. So he's relatively young on the scale, but a lot of the other ones are definitely older and a bit more frail, I'm thinking. So yeah, they don't all have to be like super old, but I just like this concept of like a slasher film where the victims are old men, not young women, which is how most of these films play out.
Yeah.
Are you going to have it that at one point where there's a spree of murders, one of them is actually just natural causes?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's like a bit of a Final Destination thing. Someone just drowns, or just
Well, no, I meant just dies of like,
or just has a heart attack.
Yeah,
just
just
keels
old.
over. Yeah,
Someone just doesn't wake up.
he just dies in his sleep. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, as more and more of the original crew start to get bumped off, Red does start to wonder if Andy might be responsible for this. He's obviously prime suspect number one, and so he writes to an old contact back in America, maybe one of the nicer prison guards, or maybe a prisoner who's gone out, but somebody, he's got a contact anyway. He writes to them to kind of look into Andy's old case from when he was obviously imprisoned for murdering his wife. And it turns out that Elmo Blatch, which is the name of the man who allegedly did kill Andy's wife, that Tommy, the young lad, had encountered. It turns out that Elmo Blatch guy was actually cleared of all charges when it turned out he was a delusional fantasist who never committed a real crime in his entire life. So he just made all that shit up. And, yeah. So this now makes Andy obvious suspect number one. So Red starts to fear for his own safety, and so he confronts Andy directly about this space of murder that's happening. And Andy at this point does admit that he actually did kill his wife back in the 1940s. But he still denies all knowledge of this current, more recent killing spree. So now Red doesn't know what to believe. Andy's very compromised at this point. So the deaths continue to pile up, and soon Andy and Red are the last two standing. So all the other ex-cons have now been killed. So obviously Red's a little bit nervous at this point, and he secretly makes plans to get out of town and head back to America, reasoning that he'd rather risk prison by going back to America than wind up just being killed in Mexico. So he's like planning his great escape, not telling Andy obviously because he still thinks Andy might well be the killer. The night before he's due to make his escape, he's attacked by a masked knife-wielding stranger in a wheelchair.
In a wheelchair?
In a wheelchair.
Charles Xavier?
It is not Professor X. Good guess, but it is not Patrick Stewart as Professor X. I've not done that crossover. I thought that'd be too...
Oh, it's Boggs.
Oh, you got it, yeah. Well, yeah, spoiler alert, yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd think being in a wheelchair would make this killer a bit ineffectual, but of course Morgan Freeman's 82, and it's a really good wheelchair. So actually, he just rams into his knees, sends him down, and it looks like all hope is lost. Like Morgan, the masked killer, who is Boggs. It's all right, it's fine.
I was excited by that.
That's
Sorry.
Cool. It looks like all hope is lost.
Twists are made to be guessed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it looks like Morgan Freeman's about to get murdered, but then Andy Dufresne runs in at the last minute, shoves Boggs, I guess we'll just say it's Boggs aside, unmasks him, and yes, it turns out it's Boggs.
No.
Sorry. I know. Try to control your surprise question.
I love guessing John's twists before they happen. I once got one of them right out the gate. Like he starts telling a story. Is it Star Wars? Damn it!
So angry. So yes, it's Boggs. But the rationale is, Boggs it turns out Boggs has served his time in prison, after being brutally beaten and confined to a wheelchair. Rebuilt his life on the outside, but became obsessed with getting revenge on Andy Dufresne, who was the guy who, lest we forget, organised for him to be beaten within an inch of his life. So he obviously has a lot of resentment. So he's
trying to get his revenge on Andy Dufresne by killing all of Andy Dufresne's friends.
Yes, and then frame him. He's playing the long game. He wants to frame him for the murder.
Oh, I see.
He wants to kill everyone else and then frame Andy.
Yep.
Basically, rather than killing him's too easy. He's got to ruin his life first. So yeah. He used his contacts in the inside to learn that Andy and Red had disappeared down to Mexico, and he followed them down, and he's been stalking them ever since. Yeah. I mean, don't look too deeply into how a wheelchair-bound man has managed to do all this. It's,
No, I think it's plausible.
Some people achieve great things.
With time and planning and a bit of WD-40 on the wheels.
Indeed.
Just to keep them quiet. Don't want squeaky wheels. No. Can't creep up on anybody.
No.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we end. I guess we're going to end with Morgan Freeman giving another narration about how he was sorry he ever doubted his friend. And this is going to be playing out over the two of them burying Boggs' body. Obviously they're going to kill him.
Wow, sinister.
Sinister, and then they're gonna live happily ever after, just the two of them on their little Mexican fishing boat.
All their friends have been killed.
All their friends have been killed, and it's just back down to the status quo of the two of them. And so we end where we began, I guess.
Oh, great.
And that is Shawshank Redemption 2, The Shawshank Resurrection.
Great. I mean, nobody gets resurrected.
No, I guess Boggs, was left for dead.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
It sounds horror movie-ish. I was just thinking of like a horror movie-ish kind of type.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, Shawshank Redemption wasn't the most accurate title.
Well,
so
indeed,
it's in keeping.
Yeah. And that's
very good.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Well, that was actually stupid. I like it.
Yeah, well, I just thought I'd like to do like a classic Stephen King horror, whereas this is obviously not a horror film. So I just thought that was my starting point. And I was also thinking about the fact that for a hero, Andy is quite morally compromised. Maybe he did kill his wife. It's a pretty convenient story that gets him off from that. And also he does definitely. I know Boggs is obviously a terrible person who a serial rapist. I'm not trying to defend Boggs, but he does ultimately arrange for Boggs to be brutally beaten, which is pretty It does say he never walked again and he drank through a straw for the rest of his life. So it wasn't just it wasn't a warning beating. It was a full on attempted murder. So I just thought maybe he's made some enemies or one very specific enemy. So and that's it. That's pretty much it.
Wow, great, very good. All right, on to you, Sam.
Great. Mine doesn't stand up quite as strongly as that.
Spoiler alert, neither does mine.
Mine is also like a direct follow-on.
Good, yeah.
So it picks up at the end of the story. And the start is at the point of when Red leaves the prison gates.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And the guard.
So before he reconnects with Andy entirely.
Yeah, I mean, so that will happen at the end of the last film. But the film starts with like the end of that scene.
Okay.
And Red jogs on, and the guards walk back in, and you're returned back to prison life, and prison life carrying on.
Okay.
Without,
I see. Yeah.
Without the two main characters that have been,
it's like a power vacuum in many ways.
Yeah. So Hayward becomes the guy who knows how to get things.
Okay.
But he also consistently messes up everyone's order.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else kind of goes in to fill that power vacuum. Really, I'm not sure what other characters really need replacement. There's the warden and the captain of the guard as well.
Yeah. They'll need to be a new warden at some point.
Yeah, I didn't think to that kind of detail. I don't know who would have.
Well, that could be a fun time to just bring in some brand new characters with different casting. So, like, what actors would you like to see for those roles? Then you can get a bit silly with things.
I don't know.
You could say like, oh, Melissa McCarthy.
Does anyone come to mind for you? Melissa McCarthy?
No. Warden, James Corden.
Oh, God.
Warden Corden.
Warden Corden. Oh, dear God almighty, that sounds bleak.
Wow.
Is this film a musical?
Sure, okay. Head guard Neil Patrick Harris.
I actually did think that it could have been done as a musical or an opera.
Yeah, I'm surprised the original hasn't been done as the musical in some capacity.
Probably has in this world.
Maybe I'm sure someone's tried it.
Yeah. I think Bruce Willis would make a good captain of the guard.
Oh, he'd be a good villainous warden. Yeah.
Not a villainous warden.
Oh, a nice warden.
Yeah.
Oh, captain.
I think villainous James Corden, the warden.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, you seem pretty sold on James Corden.
It rhymes.
All right, fine.
I didn't mean it to rhyme, but it does, and I'm sticking with it now.
Okay, fine.
And I like the tie-in with another, because you've got Hayward there, who's a baddie in Die Hard 2, and then Bruce Willis is there as well. Then you've got a bit of cross-pollination.
Yeah.
Very good.
If only Alan Rickman was still alive. Only.
But that was Die Hard 1.
That was Die Hard 1, but I mean, I say that most days, regardless of what we're talking about. If only Alan Rickman was still alive.
Wake up in the morning, hungover.
Yeah.
If only Alan Rickman was here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so things just carry on, and time continues to jump randomly and unpredictably, and people don't really age because the only people that were even marginally aging have left now.
Yeah.
Actually, I did come up with like an alternative plot idea in that because I really latched on to the fact that no characters really aged aside from those two, and since they left, they were actually maintaining this anti-aging bubble.
Okay.
So everyone else, now they've gone, everyone else ages really quickly.
Oh wow! Okay.
Like dramatically quickly.
It's not just this prison full of old decrepit old men. Yeah.
Yeah, like massively rapid onset arthritis.
Oh no!
And, like hair loss everywhere, and like lots of dementia.
So the floor is just covered in hair.
Yeah, and people who have they don't even know who they are and what they're doing. And this is not just inmates; it's the guards,
everyone.
Everyone. This time bubble was
just broken.
Like the universe has got to equal out a bit from this kind of the deficit. So, but I'm not quite sure if I can weave that into this sequel.
Okay.
Well, carry on. We'll see what we can do.
So it all just carries on, and everyone just ticks along because that kind of the main characters of interest have left, right up until the cuts in spending and cuts in funding come in, because like I said, it did seem like quite an affluent library by the end, and it's as if they wanted people in prisons to actually come out having had a formative experience, and that's not really the modern case, is it? So due to prison cuts, the prison then becomes a co-ed prison.
Oh, okay.
So you've got it's not just a male-only prison.
Okay.
It's now mixed.
Okay.
Just to because it's
to save some money.
Save a bit of money.
So now, when these new people come in, do they also get aged up by 20 years at the moment they step through the door?
Yeah, I wonder.
That would be quite a Stephen King-y thing in itself. It was like the prison was like it's like on an Indian burial ground. It's cursed, and as soon as you step into it, you age.
And so then people work it out, judges work it out, and then they're like, "I'm going to sentence you to 20 years," and they're like, "Please not Shawshank, please not Shawshank, in Shawshank," and then they come out 100 years older.
Because it's like 20 to life, isn't it? It's like it's 20 years unless you die in that 20 years, and so it's send them to a prison where they're going to age 20 years. You're never going to have to rehabilitate them because they'll probably die.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I think actually, the damage that they've done is permanent at Shawshank. The damage that Andy and Red did, there's a permanent time bubble that's been burst, and the repercussions are just on every inmate from now on.
Damn.
And then you get a nice bonus surprise where the cast from Orange Is the New Black gets.
Oh, they're actually going to come in.
Of course they do.
Lovely,
yes.
Lovely,
yes. Yeah. And so. There's just
and they all age up as well.
They all age so fast. So Captain Janeway, who's already aged a lot from Star Trek Voyager to become Red in Orange Is the New Black. Yeah. Wow, she's just up another level.
Crikey. What about Natasha Lyonne, who plays Nikki with the really big hair? She's still got all that really big hair. And is it still bright orange?
It wasn't bright orange when I've not watched it for a long time.
Oh, wow, different seasons.
Maybe it's now grey.
So maybe
everybody ages up a little bit.
Everybody, I think a grey streak in the orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in this, and I'm stuck on the fact that everybody's aging up, but I just want to see every character just aged up 20 years.
Yeah, it's fast moving. It really is. Also, the yard outdoors. It continues to mysteriously rise in altitude.
I like that.
And then, so skipping to the end, you basically the final scene is you got a bunch of old men and women staggering out of a sewage pipe covered in shit.
What a beautiful image!
Because they've all dug their way out through the catacomb tunnels of Shawshank.
Okay.
And the prison guards are all too old and decrepit and dementia-ridden to actually know what's going on.
To actually think that the same thing might happen twice.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And the yard is actually the height of the first floor window.
Great.
That was the sequel. And the name I came up with was the Shawshank Renaissance.
The Shawshank Renaissance. I like it.
That's good.
I'm just imagining Captain Janeway just in the Andy Dufresne role now, just crawling through the shit.
So we have Die Hard 2, we have Orange Is the New Black, and Star Trek Voyager all featuring in.
Can the evil prison warden be played by Jerry Ryan, aka 7 of 9? She'd be good at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll let James Corden go.
Yeah. Well, maybe they can both be wardens. Maybe when it becomes a co-ed, she's the female representative.
Yeah. That works.
Yeah. Very good, Sam. Thank you.
Great. Okay, well, mine, I've come up with a few ideas because I was thinking about how the Shawshank Redemption feels like it's the last film in the series.
The title does give it that
Die
sense.
Hard Redemption or something. Like it sounds like that.
Yeah.
So I thought just...
There's not been a Bourne Redemption, has there? There's
don't
been a
think
Bourne
there has.
Ultimatum and a Bourne Identity
and
a Bourne
Supremacy.
and a Bourne Supremacy, but not a Bourne
and,
Redemption.
and something else. And then one that was just called Jason Bourne.
Oh, yeah.
Why do they ruin the naming scheme? What's wrong with them?
Was that the one where they got a different actors to play it?
No, that was the one where they got Matt Damon back after
okay.
the Jeremy Renner film.
That was it. They made Jeremy Renner Bourne for a while. Okay. Not a good idea. Okay, so anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Yes, and then it just turned into me just taking different film titles and seeing what goes with it. So, Shawshank Episode 5, The Warden Strikes Back.
Okay, I see what's going on here. Okay.
So, it turns out the Warden faked his death. Andy has now gone into training as a miner, while Red is off sailing the seas.
So Andy's gone into training.
Andy's gone into to train to become a miner, as in mining caves.
Oh, because he's good at digging. Okay, sure.
Okay.
Is that like to represent Luke Skywalker training?
Yeah.
A Jedi. Okay.
While Red, Han Solo, is off sailing the seas and stops at some beautiful island. He needs to get some spare part for his boat or something, but he's tricked. The Warden's there. Oh no! And he gets locked in a cell.
Oh, okay.
Andy heard of this news and stops his training early, even though his mining master says, "Finish your training, you must. Ready you are not."
Who is playing the training
master?
I don't know.
Some guy called Yago.
Yeah, okay, sure. These were all very quick ideas, didn't it? To cast them?
Okay, sure.
So he rushes to the island, only to find out the Warden is his father.
Oh
no.
Oh, interesting, okay.
To be continued.
That would have been a good twist.
Shawshank, Episode 6, Return of the Chisel.
Okay.
Andy breaks Red out of a prison run by an obese gangster,
Okay.
but not before having to chisel lots of people to death.
Mhm.
He then returns to his training. His master immediately says he is now a qualified miner, after having done no more training, and then fades away into nothingness, or a dark cave, never to be seen again. Andy and Red, and some other friends, then all mount an attack on the newly built, fully operational Shawshank. They destroy it and all have a party with some teddy bears in a factory next door.
Ooh, do you think that the you mentioned the fact that there should have been like a grill on the end of the pipe. Do you reckon that represents the little bit the little like pipe at the original Death Star that you can find? It all ties up. It all ties up. Yeah.
Yes, that
the
works.
weakness that was engineered into Shawshank by its designer, who was originally part of the initial rebellion pre-Shawshank. That designed a flaw in there, but like hid it really well and sacrificed his entire life to.
Many character actors died to bring them this information.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Right, well, I've got a few of these. They're not all Star Wars.
Okay, we're not going to do we're going to do a disappointing prequel trilogy, are we?
I didn't do that.
Okay,
no.
fine.
But it would have one.
Of course.
Hence the Episode 5 and Episode 6 title.
Yeah. Sure.
So next one is Mission Impossible: The Shawshank Escape, which is a Mission Impossible sequel where the gang are all caught, stripped of their tech, and have to break out. Simon Pegg creatively creates masks which they can all use to pretend to be guards.
Oh, so this is the actual Mission Impossible crew are caught and sent to Shawshank.
Tom Cruise does all his own stunts and takes out enough of the guards so they all have uniforms. And also Ving Rhames is there too.
Sure. Yeah.
Moving on.
Just hanging out with Morgan Freeman. Just being like white people.
Andy Dufresne and the Chamber of Secrets. Andy finds a chamber underneath Shawshank which has lots of snakes. He kills one of them with a shiv. The shiv that used to own to one of the 4 founders of the prison, Godric Gryffindor.
Godric Gryffindor. Okay.
In the following 6 films, he does many things. He meets a long-lost uncle who also broke out of prison. He competes in the Tri-Prison Tournament, breaks into government and stops some kind of conspiracy. Then, after Red is murdered, he collects and destroys a few of the Warden's things, and then eventually kills the Warden himself.
Oh, okay, so the Warden once again survived the original film.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one's a bit more of a stretch. Shawshank 2, The Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
Andy Dufresne is now the captain of a large boat, larger than the end of the original, with a crew. The boat is, of course, called the Enterprise. But this time there's a new villain, Khan. Khan imprisons them, and it's up to Andy to not just escape, but break out his entire crew from prison and take down Khan.
Ooh.
I forget the plot of the film.
I've not seen Wrath of Khan.
No.
But do they end up on a prison ship?
Sure, yes.
That makes sense.
Yes,
that is a thing, so yeah.
That
could
makes
be
good sense.
Yeah.
Maybe they have to take down a ship by using their old ship to, destroy it. So they destroy their ship, a la they destroy the Enterprise in that film, I believe.
Okay.
Right.
I've never seen The Wrath of Khan, or if I have, I've forgotten all about it. So.
Cool. Okay, well, I've got my last one here, which is a good one. Shawshank 2, Back in the Habit.
Okay, okay.
That's great.
You're on comfortable ground there.
So Andy feels sorry for all the other inmates that he left in prison after his escape, because things must have got much more difficult for them, because there would no longer be the allowance for luxuries like posters and, tiny little pickaxes and harmonicas and, probably a lot less smuggling going on and stuff.
Yeah.
Prison would have cracked down on security. So he decides he wants to start breaking people out of prison. And he thinks that some people have been unfairly imprisoned, and he wants to break them out just worldwide. So he creates a fake company where, disguised as nuns, him and his new crew, they go into prisons posing as motivational choir nuns.
Okay.
When they have the reputation to get hired by Shawshank, they go in with some extra nun outfits and then break out all of Andy's old friends during an extravagant musical number.
Very good. I was thinking you were going to go with Morgan Freeman, the red character, reconnects with his long estranged ex-wife, played by Whoopi Goldberg.
Wow.
Oh, that's even better.
That would have been so great. And then it does turn into the musical.
Basically, yes.
And it's a beautiful reenactment of it's a beautiful realisation of like Morgan Freeman's singing voice.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard him sing, but I'd be interested to hear it, yeah.
It's probably not very good, or else we would have heard it.
Just like Whoopi Goldberg's.
Yeah, true. You don't really hear it.
Sorry, Whoopi, I love you. Does she listen to this?
She's a big fan. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say she's a bitch. I don't know why.
I would never speak ill of Whoopi Goldberg. Come on.
Goodness, Harry.
No.
That's all the ideas I've got, unless you guys got any others. I did have a few other titles, but I didn't put anything to them. Too Fast, Too Shawshank, I know listener submissions would have done.
Yeah.
Shawshank 2, Judgment Day. Crossover with Terminator.
The Warden again rises again with more powerful than.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he comes back, and Judgment Day has been postponed.
Yeah.
Shawshank with a Vengeance.
Right.
Yeah.
And Shawshank 2, Simba's Pride.
Shawshank 2, Simba's Pride.
I really did not know where to go with that one.
Back in the Habit's great.
Back in the Habit, yeah. You can't go wrong with Back in the Habit. Any sequel pitch that begins Back in the Habit.
Yeah.
I think I started strong with Star Wars as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I got.
Very good. Thank you for that, Harry. It was offbeat as usual. Should we get to some listener submissions?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so first listener submission here from Jake Bonham says 180-minute long movie of Andy crawling through the ship pipe.
Oh wow, that sounds fun.
Yes.
Sounds like Terrence Malick would direct or something.
Believe it or not, that's not the only listener submission I've had that's that.
Okay, that's a popular choice. People just want more shit.
Yeah.
Great. The shit in real time, yeah.
Whether there's people going through shit pipes or not, that's a submission that people are asking for with other films. Good.
Yep.
Good to know.
Phil Better says, it's 25 years later. Both Andy and Red are relaxed on the beach raising their families. US Marshals come raiding in. There's a car chase with Red ending up dead.
Oh no.
Andy goes back to jail to serve out his sentence. However, his kids set up an elaborate plan to break him out of jail, since they all know how the first prison escape went, and call it Shawshank Redux.
Shawshank Redacted?
Reduc?
Oh, Shawshank Redux.
Redux?
Yeah, maybe. Okay, sure. Sounds good.
My pronunciation is not great, but that's not a surprise to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Grant Weaving says Shawshank Revenge. Turns out Morgan Freeman killed Tim Robbins' wife, sorry.
Oh gosh, okay.
Wow.
That'd be a good twist.
That's
That'd be a very
cool.
good twist,
Yeah.
yeah. I like that idea a lot.
Shawshank Revenge.
Okay, Darren McGill says prequel, the murder of Andy's wife and his planning of the murder. It's called Shawshank the Shanking.
Oh, so that also implies that he did the murder himself. It wasn't just that random guy. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Brian Elliott says Shawshank Redemption 2, Secret of the Ooze. Andy mutates into a toxic Avenger type character after escaping prison.
I mean, he has been in contact with a lot of
Yeah.
weird chemicals, so possibly, yeah, sure.
Do you mean we and chemicals?
Was it dice? Oh, I meant to say weird chemicals, but yeah, we and chemicals also works.
Yeah, good.
Daniel Sanchez says Shawshank Redemption 2, this time it's personal. Andy and Morgan Freeman come back on that boat Andy was fixing to take revenge on the prison, because as it turns out, the prison itself actually killed Andy's wife.
Oh. Very good.
I like that. What, so the building?
Yeah, just got up one day
Did
and
it?
Yeah.
Great.
And my last one is Vinny Policastro says Shawshank Vacation. It's Red and Andy just living it up in Mexico, going out on their boat and shit, and then occasional having to run from the cops, Benny Hill style.
I would like if the score to this film, which it does have a lovely score, was replaced purely by yakety sax from Benny Hill. Just like Andy's like crawling through the mud, just like. I have some as well. Scott Meeker said the Shawshank Redemption. Andy and Red are caught by Mexican authorities and placed in a brutal and seemingly impenetrable prison in Mexico. Hijinks ensue. Michael Gettings said, after Red's death from old age, Andy is picked up by Special Agent Brooks, grandson of Brooks was here, Brooks, the old man. There's going to be an assassination attempt. The target, the president. The assassin, Boggs, now a criminal mastermind. And the stage, Shawshank Prison. Andy will have to break in to save the world in Shawshank 2 Redemption.
Save the world or just the president?
I guess saving the president means saving the world in this reality. I'm guessing that president's not Trump. Adam Capitano said the Shawshank Redemption.
Wow.
He says he's not sure he wants to offer a potential plot synopsis for that, but Brian Vaughn says 20 years later, Andy is still sanding down that damn boat. Was he just the whole time waiting for Red, just like sanding that boat, like for a good 10 years?
I guess
maybe. Yeah.
He probably had a myriad different tasks.
Yeah,
probably just
busy with.
Just very used to just trying to break through things.
Yeah.
Just trying to sand a hole in it just to get into it.
Probably, yeah. Johnny James Fuller said The Hobbs and Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, okay.
Very, very current. Josh Nolette said...
It's a Fast and Furious spin-off called Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah. Jason Statham's in it. Josh Nolette says Andy and Red move to Hollywood under assumed names. Red becomes the premier voiceover narrator in the industry, and Andy manages him and becomes a major Hollywood player. So I guess that's just Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman's real lives. Isa Ahmad said, forget it, just reboot the first movie in the series, Shawshank Redemption. Right, okay. Stuart Jipp said Shawshank 2, back to the shank. Mika Ladonia said a young Red and Andy go to high school and are framed for pulling the fire alarm in the Shawshank detention.
Bad. That's very bad.
And Mika Wynn just said, I don't know, but Andy and Red need to fuck in this one.
You weren't the only one to pick that up, though.
No, it's not just me, and then over to Twitter, so there's some more on Twitter, I'm afraid. At Quiz and Hers said, can we just get a sequel in which Andy and Red happily live out their days as pals in that unpronounceable Mexican village, and no one tries to frame them, rape them, or kill them? They've been through enough, guys. I mean, yeah, fair. Very true. Blokebusters at Blokebusters said, you utter bastards, this is my favourite film, and I've tried hard to think of a suitable sequel or prequel idea for years, and I've got exactly nothing.
Great.
At False Starts Pod said, Andy and Red go fishing in real time for 2 hours and just shoot the shit. They deserve a break. I'm spotting a theme here. A lot of people are just like, leave them alone!
Yeah.
One Good Thing at OGT Pod said, we've got to go back for my opera record. He's left his opera CD. He's got an opera vinyl. They've got to break it back in and get it back. At Nerd Adonis said, I have seen this movie. Oh, good. And my sequel will be called Shawshank Redemption, Blood and Freedom. Instead of a chick flick with dudes, it's a fight flick with social commentary that would raise the question, how can a system this flawed hope to reform anyone? So, sure, okay. I'm nearly done, but we have a long one now from the Unexceptionals podcast, at _Unexceptionals, said, this sequel idea starts immediately after they embrace on the beach. We're going to de-age the actors with CGI to make those 25 years mean nothing. Andy and Red promise to stay in touch as they have no one else in the outside world. Fast forward 20 years and it's Red's funeral. How depressing. A handful of people are standing around the casket that's getting lowered into the ground, but Andy isn't in this crowd. Instead, we find him sitting on a bench in the distance. He walks away before the casket is fully lowered into the ground, overwhelmed with emotion. We follow Andy's struggle to grieve his friend's death as he is almost angry at being left alone. He has every reason to be angry as the state hasn't supported him as an ex-convict. One evening his anger boils over and he ends up assaulting a guy in a bar and is taken to court. This part of the movie can highlight people's prejudices against ex-cons. The film ends with Andy in court as he asks to plead his case. He uses the opportunity to monologue how unjustly he has been treated as an ex-con by the state and by his own neighbours. He summarises that he's not surprised he's ended up where he was, as that's where people want him to be. It's an emotional end to the film where the gavel is smashed and he's sentenced to jail once again. What a downer. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting, but yeah.
I mean, can I just ask, What put me to see an ex-con? I thought he was just a wanted man.
Well, I guess he's both.
He was a fugitive.
Yeah. I guess he's more of a fugitive than the next one, yeah. At Movieblog Merc just said, one-line pitch, The Fugitive with Andy and Red. So, yeah. I guess that's a remake of the actual film, The Fugitive. At I Used to Watch This said, Andy and Red start a charter fishing service. Eventually, with several boats all run by their old buddies from jail, oh, this is like my idea, they are forced to run drugs from what they think is the CIA as part of an undercover operation, and all of them get arrested and thrown in jail again. Bleak, but sure. Two more. At We Watch Anything said, The Shawshank Retribution. A former Shawshank guard tracks down Andy and he once more escapes, but only after Red is killed in the scuffle. Andy then goes on a murderous revenge spree, ending with him breaking back into Shawshank to kill every guard and the governor, before disappearing into the night, covered, but this time in gore. This time round, Andy Dufresne is played by Keanu Reeves. Oh, it's like a John Wick-esque like action version. Oh, actually, there's two more, sorry. But they're both shorts. At the John O. Scott says, Shawshank Sisters, where's Boggs? So, following Boggs. And finally, at Cecil Hops said, it is exactly the same setup, but Andy is Paddington. And he kindly provided some memes of the recent Paddington movie with Shawshank Redemption quotes, which obviously don't read on a podcast, but are very funny. So, I will share them on our social medias if you're interested. And that's all, yeah, God, that took a while. I guess it's a popular film. But so that was The Shawshank Redemption. If you have any sequel ideas for The Shawshank Redemption, don't let us know, we've had enough. Now go ahead. Or any other films we've done in the past, please let us know. We are Beyond the Box Set. You can find us at beyondtheboxset.com. Our podcast is available on all good podcasting platforms, including iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play. You name it, we're on it. If we're not on it, let us know and we will get on it. You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Beyond the Box Set, on social media, on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram by searching Beyond the Box Set or at Beyond the Box Set on Twitter. And we have exclusive merchandise available at tpublic.com. Again, just search Beyond the Box Set. And Harry, next week is my turn.
Okay.
It is.
No.
It wasn't a question, it's my turn.
Yeah, no.
It was my turn this week, so
yeah.
Now it's John's
turn.
It's
my turn.
Yeah, no, I've got that. I was more just sort of getting myself prepared, just like, all right.
Okay. Well, no, I think you'll like this film. So, we've done 2 Stephen King adaptations now, which are very male-heavy, I would say. Quite sausage party-ish.
They're not like the film Sausage Party.
They're not like the film Sausage Party, but they are both.
You should watch that film, Sam. It is fantastic.
It's really not. But they are definitely big on Sausage Party. So, anyway, I thought I would do a classic Stephen King adaptation.
Just don't watch it in a public place.
No, don't.
No. Okay.
I thought I would bring to the table a classic Stephen King adaptation that created an iconic female character. It won the actress an Oscar for Best Actress, and that actress was Kathy Bates, and that movie is Misery.
Sounds a blast.
It's not as depressing as that title makes it sound. It's a very good film, and actually quite funny.
Sounds it.
It genuinely is. Have you seen Misery?
I haven't seen Misery. I think
Misery?
We never got around to watching it when we were growing up together as students.
Fair enough.
Is it based off the Green Day song of the same name?
I don't know that song. I would imagine the Green Day song could be based off the film, possibly.
So, I know you know that Green Day song very well. You used to play it in your band.
I'm not going to comment.
You don't want to spoil the film.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, yes.
I haven't seen the film either.
Sure.
Is Billy Joel Armstrong in it?
No.
Okay.
So it's not a Green Day film.
It's not a Green Day biopic, sadly. But
written by Stephen King.
Yeah, Stephen King in the 80s wrote a Green Day biopic. It took a while for it to come prescient. It's a good film. You'll like it.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident. I'm not saying this in the way that I thought you'd like Our Glenn Close season. I genuinely think you'll like this film. So yeah. So join us next week.
My sequel may be called American Idiot.
That's fine. If that's the route you want to go down, it's fine. So join us next week for Misery.
Great. Thank you for
thank you, Sam. Yeah, thank you, Sam, for joining us. Always a pleasure.
I'm putting my thumbs up to the microphone.
Excellent.
Good. It's putting a thumbs up right back at you.
Yeah. It's not got any thumbs.
And yeah, join us next week for Misery.
Yep. See you next time. Bye.
Oh, bye.
So hot and ill.
So,